Oh, 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 wow. I feel like not good. I'm tired and I'm grumpy and I'm hurting. I just want to play video games. Trump mandates all federal agencies an email blaming Dems for potential government shutdown. I think that might not be allowed, but okay.
With reaction tonight is former House Speaker Newt Gingrich. This is a game that they play, but this is different this time. Is normally a clean CR everybody would go along with. That keeps spending at its current levels while they negotiate out, keeping the government open, new budgets, et cetera. This is a different tactic because this is not your old Democratic Party.
Well, look, the simpler way to describe it is this is insanity. We know from the work we do at America's New Majority Project that there are two things the American people feel about this shutdown. One, they do not want increased spending. Two, they do not want the government closed. So what do you have? You have the Schumer shutdown where Chuck gets up and says, I'm going to close the government to get more money. Now, that means he's on the wrong side of both issues. This is not easy. But it hit me. I know you have been.
Oh, shit. You can't see. Sorry. Theater of the mind. Okay.
A New Yorker, so I hope you won't be offended. But it hit me talking to Maria Bartiromo yesterday morning. You have this weird moment where both the House leader and the Senate leader are from New York City, a city so liberal it's about to elect a big government socialist mayor who you could legitimately call a communist. Their world is all of these weird left-wingers. Now you go west of the Hudson and you get, for example, to South Dakota with the Senate Majority Leader Thune. You get to Louisiana with the Speaker of the House Johnson. They're different worlds. And I think literally Schumer and Jeffries are just totally out of touch with America.
Oh, wait, is it they that are out of touch with America or, well, I think they are. I think they bought into the radicalization of their party. But they also know that they're leaders in name only, that they really are not the power brokers that maybe they once would have been. They're not Harry Reid. They're not Nancy Pelosi. They don't have a tight grip on their caucus. If anything, Chucky's hanging by a string. Hakeem, he's got a little more consolidation of power, I would argue. But the reality is Chuck Schumer's probably not going to make it. I mean, he's looking at his final days as being the leader in the Senate, in my view. Your thoughts?
Well, look, Shakespeare once wrote that a brave man dies but once, a coward has 1,000 deaths. Don't become a leader if you're afraid to be a leader. This is a major mistake by the Democrats. They have already become a big government socialist party with weird values. Gallup has reported they have the lowest favorable rating at 34% in the history of the Gallup poll. Seth Keshel reports that as recently as today, in New Mexico, for example, there have been 1,300 more Republicans signing up, leaving the Democrats in the last couple of weeks, 3 times the normal rate. So what you're seeing around the country is people are going, if that's who the Democrats are, I'm not one of them. And I think we're seeing something truly historic. And remember this, Sean, the people who are now in the Trump administration had 4 years in the wilderness. And that means, for example, the Russ Vought, the head of the Office of Management Budget, spent 4 years thinking about what should we do if there's a shutdown. So they're totally prepared for this kind of a fight. And the Democrats have no idea what's going to start hitting them on Monday.
I think you're right on that. By the way, when Chuck Schumer is on the floor of the Senate making the case that the New York Times poll is biased in favor of conservatives, okay, that might be the greatest line ever uttered on the Senate floor in the history of the Senate.
Okay. I think the Trump admin assumed no one would try to find out who the people on the boats they blew up really were. In an interview, one woman who identified herself as the wife of one of the dead men said that her husband was a fisherman with 4 children who left one day for work and never came back. Damn. Invader V, fit check.
Order him around.
God.
He didn't
Damn.
make me snap my fucking fingers. Absolutely fucking not. He just paid me because he knows that's his
Based.
This is the type of thing you've said about shutdowns in the past. Let's listen.
What if I persuaded my caucus to say I'm going to shut the government down? I'm going to not pay our bills unless I get my way. It's a politics of idiocy, of confrontation.
Do you still feel that the motive of the Kirk shooter is unknown? Yes. Unless something new has come out that I've missed.
Of paralysis.
Shutting down government over a policy difference is self-defeating. We can never hold American workers hostage again.
While the CR bill is very bad, the potential for a shutdown has consequences for America
that are much, much worse. Therefore, I will vote to keep the government open and not shut it down.
That was you 3 times in the past. Go ahead. What's your first time?
Yeah, that was.
Damn. Fox News is brutal when these Democrats go. Oh, we're on CNN. My bad.
It was in March, John, before they had done these horrible things to health care, before they had introduced these rescissions which would allow them to ignore the budget process. When I was majority leader, we had 13 times to vote on a budget. Do you know why there was no shutdown? We sat and negotiated with the Republicans every time. They got some things, we got some things. They did not negotiate at all. Now that they've seen they can't bludgeon us, they can't roll us, hopefully they're going to sit down and negotiate.
Or don't. Shut it all the fuck down. Who the fuck cares? We're all wealthy white dudes. It doesn't affect us at the end of the day. That I'm talking about you, me, and chat. And apparently all of you are Indians as well, according to some places that comment on my community. So, based. I want you to notice this more, and I want you to call this out more every single time you see it, okay? Brian tried to do this to no avail. You cannot... Oh, wait, there was one more. Fuck. It was a 6-minute video. Was it on Twitter or was it on my subreddit? No, I can't do the volume thing again. I want you to notice this. These guys will not ever answer questions, ever. They will not. They cannot. They will never answer a fucking question. They have been allowed to carry on like this with impunity.
I see both sides not even agreeing on some of the facts here. You know, Trump says Democrats want to give health care to illegal immigrants. You have Democrats who say this is about Medicare.
I don't know where the fuck this claim came from. Does anybody know where the fuck this claim came from? Like, illegal immigrants cannot apply for health care in the United States. You need a social security number for this, for Medicare and shit. And other things, you cannot apply for health care as an illegal immigrant. None of the ACA funding, none of this. I don't know where this talking point came from. I mean, like, I guess a signal chat or something.
I see both sides not even agreeing on some of the facts here. You know, Trump says Democrats want to give health care to illegal immigrants. You have Democrats who say this is about Medicare and Obamacare. If it's not even agreement there, that's where the hesitation I have is. That's where I'm concerned that we're going to even see anything.
Mick, would you agree that not a single dime of ACA subsidies goes toward undocumented immigrants?
Nick, would you agree that no funding goes towards illegal immigrants? That's the question.
Would you agree with me that what the big,
answer the question. It's not that hard to just answer the question.
Wait a second. Again, listen, we don't do this on this show. I don't know if you've ever...
Only big criticism here for Brian is he should have called him a retarded dipshit, okay? So, big fumble from Brian here, but otherwise, good to stay on point.
We've been on here before, but we don't talk over. We're not here to yell at each other. I'm not going to do that.
No, you're not here to do anything because it's a fucking performance.
Yes, anymore, Jesse.
Okay.
So,
all right.
All right. There you go. That's the answer right there.
No,
can't even acknowledge objective reality.
Brian, Mick responded. Brian responded.
No, he didn't. Not really. What? He just mumbled some random words.
Okay, we're going to leave it here. Appreciate you both.
I hope I'm wrong.
I don't think I'm watching this. I don't care that much. Wait, fuck. Where was the other one? Wait, there was another one with Brian. Oh, is that right here? Hold on.
When we talk about this idea that the government is too big, that there's too much spending, I mean, it is, Mick, it's your party. It's Donald Trump that is adding trillions and trillions and trillions to the debt because they want to give themselves tax cut. Donald Trump added...
Tax cuts for the rich, yeah, we've had this conversation. All right.
He wasn't talking about tax cuts for the rich, you blimp fuck, you airheaded dipshit. He's talking about the fact you guys keep adding more and more and more to the deficit. Remember, this is how they brought all the retarded tech bros, okay, from Shitticon Valley along for the fucking ride, the abolish the Fed retards, that like all of these guys came along and they're like, oh, I think that the deficit spending is the worst thing in the Fed and the printing the currency. Apparently none of that mattered.
We've had this conversation because it's the reality of the situation. I mean, the Republicans just passed a budget bill that would add $4 trillion to the debt.
$4 trillion, I get it. Okay.
I mean, you can scoff it off, but it doesn't change the math.
Mick,
It doesn't, but it doesn't move us where we are. Who's going to give up in this? The Democrats are going to give up because they're asking for something.
Well, I mean,
in the CR
don't
that
change
they're
the
never going to
subject.
get.
I mean,
Brian,
you
hold on
brought,
one second.
you brought
Brian,
up the fact
Brian,
you
hold on
brought
one
up the
second.
fact that the government was too big, and so I said the government is too big because Republicans are spending too much, and you switched topics. So is it not the Republican Party that's added a quarter of all debt in Trump's first term, and that added $4 trillion because of this budget?
Mick, I'll give you the response to that.
Okay. No, I'm not going to talk about COVID and the bipartisan bills that passed. Look, if we want to talk about the government shutdown, we can, but I'm not going to debate a podcaster. So, okay.
A podcaster. What a loser, dude. What an actual degenerate human being. A degenerated, fallen human.
You're not going to debate when I give you the numbers, and I mean, it looks worse on you than it does on me, because I give you the numbers right there, and you just don't want to answer the question.
What is this?
Like, what's...
Here it is. Democrats are liar. Subtitle E, other health provisions. Repeal of health subtitle changes. Subtitle B of Title 7 of the Act titled An Act to Provide for Reconciliation with Title 2 is repealed in any law or regulation referred to as such. Subchapter A, reducing fraud and improving enrollment processes. Alien Medicaid eligibility. Do they... Am I incorrect? Or alien encompasses green card holders, no? Like Melina, when we were married and she had her green card, would still be considered an alien. Or why do we have the term illegal alien if... I think alien just means you're not a citizen. First response, what? Between alien and illegal, oh. Next page of the tweet. The alien Medicaid eligibility. Alien Medicaid eligibility. A Medicaid, Section 1903 of the Social Security Act, one of paragraphs 1, by striking and or and inserting 4 and 5 and by adding to the end of the following new paragraph, notwithstanding the preceding paragraphs of the subsection beginning October 1st, except as provided by the paragraphs in an event, shall payment be made to a state under this section for medical assistance furnished to an individual unless such individual is a resident of one of the 50 states, DC or territory of the and either a citizen or national of the United States, or 2, an alien lawfully admitted for permanent residence, an alien is under the status of Cuban, Haitian, entrant, as defined by Section 5113, an individual who lawfully resides. Am I misreading this? Is this not literally saying that, like, these are the only classes, or these are classes of people? None of these are illegal immigrants. Wait, what the fuck? Why has it gotten Tulsi Gabbard shit was like this too, where they just release shit and I guess they just expect people not to read it? Bro, can Republicans just not fucking read the shit that they put out? Everything is so crazy. Everything is crazy. And my minor op call out, my oppos are crazy too. I don't know if lawyer is like a fake profession and just like maybe everybody can go, not to be mean to anybody for what law school they went to, but maybe it's just easy to go to any law school and then it's easy to take the bar a million times and eventually pass. Some people are freaking the fuck out. This is where Justicle's Discord server debates my case. The E-Rape Defense Squad. Destiny is bringing on another outside attorney. Andy B. too expensive after being demonetized. He's an associate with Brettler's firm. So another outside attorney. What do you mean by outside attorney if he's with the same firm? So maybe Esports Batman has only ever worked on his own filing taxes. I don't know what he does, but so there's a thing filed for the court so that another associate from my law firm is able to appear in person. Ordinarily, you're not allowed to appear before a court in another state if you don't have an office there, or maybe if you haven't taken the bar there. But what you can do is you can get local representation, and then you can have the co-counsel from another state, and then they can file a pro hac vice or whatever, which allows them to appear before the court, even though they're from out of state. This is just another guy from the same law firm. I don't know how Esports Batman doesn't know this, or I don't know if like all the other lawyers that hate me. I watched that criminally fat guy, I don't know what his name is, also do the same thing where it's like they just the things that they say is just like so fucking retarded. Like it's not even like, I don't understand how when people hate me, they become so deranged that they just start saying the most random retarded shit. I don't know why. Like, can there never be any measured criticism ever, or can there never be anything accurate ever? It's just like the most bizarro random shit. I don't know.
Stopgap funding measure.
13 minutes.
What happens in the next 3 hours and also the days ahead could depend in large part on my first source.
I love how also we're just like inventing new adjectives to describe things that aren't real. A dirty continuing resolution versus a clean continuing resolution. Have these terms ever been used in all of U.S. history when talking about CRs for the budget? Can somebody show? I'm genuinely curious. Has anybody ever used this terminology before?
First tonight, the Republican Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
It's not new? Okay, I feel like I've never heard the term clean CR before. Or dirty CR before. Maybe they have used it in the past, but I just haven't. It means no add-ons? Sure, I guess. Well, yeah, I know what it means. It's just funny, the normative loading of the words.
Thank you so much for being here. Mr. Speaker, do you believe the government's going to shut down in 3 hours from now?
I think it is inevitable now. It's a very reckless decision that Chuck Schumer has made. The Democrats have taken the last vote. Within the last few hours, they voted it down once again, and so there's no other option. Now, it's important to note what they're doing here. They're throwing a fit. They're making partisan arguments. The House did its job. We sent to the Senate a clean CR. What that means, it's a very short stopgap funding measure so that the appropriators in Congress in both parties can continue their work of doing the appropriations bills.
What have they been working on?
12 separate bills. We've made a lot of progress in that. We just need a little more time because tonight is the end of the fiscal year. Chuck Schumer has refused to give the extra time. Why? Because we won't agree to restore health care to illegal aliens. Because we won't agree to give $500 million back to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. He wants to cut the big fund of $50 billion that we set aside to support and prop up rural hospitals in America. Because we won't agree to those partisan demands and $1.5 trillion in new spending on a 7-week stopgap funding measure, he's decided to shut the government down. It's real pain for real Americans, and it's so frustrating.
I heard you make that first point at the White House yesterday after the meeting y'all had with the president and with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. People, as you know, people who are here in the United States legally have never been eligible for the Obamacare subsidies, for Medicare, for Medicaid. So what exactly are you saying that they're trying to do when you talk about giving free health care to them?
I'm so glad you asked. Okay, so when we passed the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Families Tax Cut, we had Medicaid reforms in the bill. You and I talked about it on the air. What we did was to eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse. There were a lot of people on the program who were enrolled in the program who were never eligible to be there. Medicaid is intended for eligible U.S. citizens, not illegal aliens. Not also U.S. citizens intended on the program who were enrolled in the program who were never eligible to be there. Medicaid is intended for eligible U.S. citizens, not illegal aliens. Not also U.S. citizens who are able-bodied workers, like young men. So we passed the law. This president signed it into law. Democrats voted against it, of course. And it's been
Well, Democrats throw trans people under the bus. Part of the bill is banning medical facilities that receive any federal funding at all from providing trans health care, like even if I wanted to pay out of pocket. I mean, at this point, probably, I don't know if that's an issue that Dems can fight on. You have to take like the chunk of what you have and then you push around the edges. But if that's like an edge case, unfortunately, right now, then the edge things are going to be the things that get left behind. And the trans stuff is some of the stuff that hurts the Dems the most. I don't personally believe it should. I think that most of the trans stuff I think is very easily defensible. It's just this outer edges like athlete shit. Like it's truly just the athlete stuff. Nothing else should be that hard to defend. But conservatives have controlled the conversation on this so much.
Wildly successful. The CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, which is the neutral arbiter of all these things, released a report a few weeks ago, earlier this month, and they said, you know what? The bill has had its intended purpose. Premiums are coming down. Listen, because 2.3 million ineligible enrollees have been kicked off of Medicaid, which helps to save the program, prop it up, and $185 billion has been saved already.
So basically, what you did was narrow the eligibility for certain people to get access.
Have been kicked off of Medicaid. Listen, because 2.3 million ineligible enrollees have been kicked off of Medicaid, which helps to save the program, prop it up, and $185 billion has been saved already.
So basically, what you did was.
Wait, I don't understand. Is he saying that like it's a good thing? We kicked 3 million, 2 point whatever million people off of Medicaid, and now we're saving money? I mean,
who are able-bodied workers like young men, not illegal aliens, not also U.S. citizens who are able-bodied workers like young men. So we passed the law. This president signed it into law. Democrats voted against it, of course, and it's been wildly successful. The CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, which is the neutral arbiter of all these things, released a report a few weeks ago, earlier this month, and they said, you know what? The bill has had its intended purpose. Premiums are coming down. Listen, because 2.3 million ineligible enrollees have been kicked off of Medicaid, which helps to save the program, prop it up, and $185 billion has been saved already.
So basically,
okay, I don't know much about Medicaid. Do you pay into Medicaid at all or no? Like Medicaid is like administered by the states or something? Bro, our healthcare shit is so complicated. I don't fucking know anything. No, you don't? Okay.
You did was narrow the eligibility.
Because I'm curious, like 2.3 million. Oh, you still have premiums? It's like a small co. Because if he's saying 2.3 million able-bodied working young men or whatever were kicked off Medicaid, were these people even costing Medicaid that much money or any money? Like what are your average healthcare withdrawals as a 20 to 30-year-old ordinary working man? My guess is probably close to zero. Like, how much are these people withdrawing? Just what?
For certain people to get access to the ACA subsidies. What they want to do is undo the changes that Republicans made in that. But basically, wouldn't that only affect people who do have legal status, people who are refugee seekers here in the United States, asylum seekers here?
Those are two totally different issues. Now, they've created this as a new argument that they have as to why they should not keep the government open, but they're arguing a December policy debate for a September funding issue. The subsidies that you're talking about don't expire until the end of December.
No. Those are the subsidies for just everyday Americans. That's one thing that obviously has been the main premise of their argument. But you're saying they want to give free health care to people who are in the United States illegally.
That is exactly what the effect will be.
But when I looked at it, there's a little nuance because if they want to undo changes that y'all made, narrowing who is eligible to get that, those are people who are refugee seekers, asylum seekers. They're not technically people who are here illegally, just cross the border.
No, this is exactly what will happen. And Maxine Waters admitted, I think, accidentally today on the House steps, they want to give health care to everybody.
But Maxine Waters is not in charge. She's not the one. She didn't write this proposal.
She's one of the senior leaders in the
bill
House,
that Democrats
and everybody should Google it.
Why would you do a quote? Dude, this is my number one heuristic for studying history, for arguing politics, for knowing anything. People who live and breathe in quotes are almost always fucking lying to you. It is almost always the case that somebody's a fucking liar when they just quote things or people at you, right? Show me some fucking action. Show me some work. What the fuck is Maxine Waters? How is she involved in this? Is she the one writing the dirty CR that Schumer and Jeffries are trying to get everybody to sign on to? Wait, like, why the fuck are we quoting, single representatives or single senators for anything? Like, what the fuck? Every single time it came up in terms of like history arguments and U.S. arguments and everything else. Whenever somebody has just like, oh, well, what about this quote where this guy said, oh, blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, well, fuck me, I guess. You got the quote.
Read their counter
proposal. But you see my point, right? You're making this argument that they want to just give health care to everyone who's here illegally. This is not for people who cross the border and don't have paperwork. These are people who have temporary protected status, right?
Absolutely. What will happen if that counter proposal was enacted is illegal aliens would be paid for. American taxpayers, hard-earned dollars, would be paying for benefits for illegal aliens again. We're not doing that.
But it's against federal law for people who are here illegally to get
Yes, and that's why our reforms are so important to enforce all that. What the important thing to remember is what's happening.
Reforms to enforce? What are you talking about? These are just nonsense, grammatically correct sentences that say nothing.
Democratic proposal that people who are here illegally should get
because they don't have the level of specification that we had in our bill. It will unwind that, and all those things that the CBO just verified will be reversed. We can't afford to do that.
But you see my point, that there's no nuance in the argument that you're making, right?
No, that is a red herring in this debate. What they've decided to do tonight with their vote is to close the government. And what that means, everybody needs to understand, real pain for real Americans. What does that mean? It means women, infants, and children do not get their nutrition programs. That is not funded anymore. Veterans don't get their health care services, suicide prevention, and other...
Is WIC really a federal level program? I thought that was state level. I don't know. It might be federal.
Very important thing.
Or it might be state level but paid by the federal government.
Things that are very timely. You have low-income persons who are Medicaid, Medicare recipients who are receiving care at home. Those programs are now lapsed. They will not be funded.
Yeah, you're
got
making a point about what happens if the government shuts it.
That's right, and they just decided to do it. So the only question tonight is, how long will Chuck Schumer keep the government closed? It's a dangerous gambit. It's something that he himself said his entire political career would be dangerous and disastrous. Roll the tape. We're rolling the greatest hits on our social media.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the point about giving people...
You see, they're doing the same thing with my rhetoric thing, right? Like, oh, he's being dangerous. Oh, well, if you think keeping the government is open, why would you lower yourself to the Republican level? Why would you come down to their level? Do the moral thing, right? If you think keeping it open is important, if you think turning down the temperature is important, then you should be doing it, right? Don't base your actions on the guy, right? But it doesn't work that way in a system where both people are meant to be working together. It doesn't. One person can't do it. I think I was at the event. Did I see somebody type this in chat? I think when I was at the TPUSA or the Unfuck America event, somebody was like, it's like one person rowing a boat. I need to work that analogy in more. Like if you have two people and one person is rowing and he rows harder and harder and harder, all you're going to be doing is going around in a circle even faster. Like one person can't row the boat forward.
Who are here illegally, healthcare is not exactly what is in their proposal.
It is 100% what their
immigrants who have legal status, and you're just disagreeing on who's eligible. I looked at it actually because I was curious about your argument.
You should study the CBO's analysis that they just put out a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw that, but the one.
Wait, hold on. This is kind of funny if this is true. What is this? White House releases a picture of Netanyahu reading the apology letter to the Qatar PM. For what? For bombing them a couple weeks ago or whatever? That was kind of funny. Also kind of retarded, but... How mad was Netanyahu for this? This is why the press conference was delayed for an hour? Is this a real pic or is this AI? That's kind of funny. That is funny. Netanyahu only cucked out on this apology because Qatar is a U.S. protected state now. Well, it's also their... I mean, I don't know what the fuck Netanyahu's doing. This guy's fucking retarded. How many have we invaded any more Gazan cities yet? Are we trying to have we gotten rid of Hamas yet, or is there one more? Just one more city? Did you know that 98% of Israeli invasions give up right before they hit getting rid of Gaza completely? I don't know how to draw this meme or whatever. 98% of IDF invasions into the Gaza Strip give up right before they get Hamas. They're so close.
1.2 million people. You're basically arguing about who has legal status, people who are seeking refuge here or seeking asylum.
No, I'm making sure that we are making sure in our provisions that we signed into law have ensured that healthcare benefits go only to eligible U.S. citizens. Chuck Schumer's proposal. Federal law was not being enforced. That's the whole point. We had to fine-tune that so that we could strengthen the healthcare program.
Fine-tune it? If the law wasn't being enforced, you're Congress, motherfucker. You can't enforce the law. How are you fine-tuning anything to enforce anything? If it wasn't being enforced before, why is it magically going to be enforced now?
U.S. citizens.
How can he advance just blatantly a lie like this? They say it so convincingly that it almost makes you do a double take, no? Because they've never been held to account on any of these programs. They were allowed to. I like, am I mixing her up, or is she the same one that's the reporter that asks, like, the real questions, too? Is this Katie Collins? I feel like she's like the only person in mainstream media that I like. I don't know if I think she might be the only one. I'm trying to think if there's at least one other. She asks good questions when she's in the White House press briefing thing or whatever, or when she's in the Oval Office. I feel like she's like the only one. Rampell, I think she fucking quit because she cucked out and had a kid. Unbelievable. But this person is like single-handedly keeping the entire fucking respect for the left-leaning establishment on her back.
Federal law.
Federal law was not being enforced. That's the whole point. We had to fine-tune that so that we could strengthen the healthcare program. That's what we did.
On this premise of how long the shutdown could go on, the longest one was 35 days. You were a member then, you were not the House Speaker then. How long do you believe this could go on?
I hope it's very short, because real Americans are going to suffer. It's going to be a hardship for a lot of people. And Chuck Schumer holds all the cards, because all he has to do is do what he's done, by the way, 13 times during the previous 4 years of the Biden administration. 13 times we avoided a shutdown.
All the talking points.
We were in the minority party many of those times. We voted and did the responsible right thing to keep the government open. We're asking Chuck Schumer to do the same thing he did his entire career. He's been here half my life. This is the first time ever he's wanted to shut it down, and I'll tell you why. Because Chuck Schumer is in a political fight. He's fighting for his political life. The last time he did the responsible thing, the far left came after him. AOC is going to challenge him.
Yeah, he was criticized by a lot of his own members. You're talking about how painful a government shutdown today could be. Today, the president said,
no! The difference is that Republicans literally aren't even in, I don't even think they're in session. Was this on my subreddit that was posted? They're like fucking gone. They're not even there. They're gonzo.
that he thinks some good things could come from a government shutdown. What are the good things that would come from a shutdown?
Well, the administration has to make some very tough choices. They have to determine at the Office of Management and Budget what are essential services, what are the programs that should be prioritized, personnel decisions, policy decisions. Chuck Schumer has just given the White House unilateral authority to make those permanent decisions about programs that should survive and those that should be eliminated. So he's sort of walked into a political trap on that as well.
The president framed it as a good thing that could come out of this. You're saying it's a tough choice. That's not how he described it.
It's both.
Today.
There are good things that could come out of it if you eliminate wasteful programs that we otherwise would not get Democrat votes to do.
Remember, wasteful is a truism. It doesn't mean anything. Waste, fraud, and abuse are all truisms. They don't mean anything to these fucking losers. It doesn't mean anything.
It's a very good thing for the taxpayers. But the harm that comes is from the people who need food assistance, medical assistance. FEMA won't be funded, by the way. We're in the middle of a hurricane season. If your health insurance or your flood insurance is lapsed, no new policies, no renewals, none of that can happen during a shutdown. It's real danger for real people. This is not a game.
Yeah, well, the president has previously talked about eliminating FEMA potentially before this shutdown happened. But can I ask
he
you in
wants
terms
to reform
of
FEMA.
You're talking about the
reform it into nothing.
The president could pick programs that they would basically stop, right, if this shutdown commences. Has a president ever during a government shutdown eliminated programs just because there was a government shutdown?
I'd have to go study the history of it, but I'll tell you the government's never been so big and bloated as it is today. It's completely, it's too large, it does too many things, and it does almost nothing well.
More truisms. It's too large, does too many things, and it does almost nothing well. We just accept that, I guess, as opposed to what? Like, which things would you eliminate? Which things, how is it too large? Where does it need to be smaller at? And what does it not do well? Like, what things does it do poorly that you think other things can do better?
There's a lot of reform-minded people in the administration who would like to streamline government. So would conservatives.
Oh, streamline. Oh. Like, how do you guys not see... I don't understand anything. It's so crazy to me that all the people who wanted, like, a businessman and everything get hoodwinked by... This is like corpo speak. Right? Like, all of this is corpo speak. Like... We're going to go ahead and we're going to make this pipeline way more efficient. We've got plans to streamline basically the entire system. We are, we're going to be targeting different KPIs. We're going to be working through a lot of these blockers. And then, we're going to come back next week and we're going to have an action plan put together so that all of us can, tackle all these big changes and cut down on a lot of the unnecessary, budget allocation for a lot of projects. And then we're going to be good to go. Like, it's just like all nothing. It's all bullshit. Nothing speak. Like, it's nothing. It's retarded corpo speak.
There's a lot of reform-minded people in the administration who would like to streamline government. So would conservatives. So would all of us. Not in a way that disenfranchises.
Destiny, can you explain what you mean by truism in this context? When somebody says waste, fraud, and abuse are bad, they're bad words, so they're always bad, but they don't mean anything. When somebody says, I want to get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse, then I mean, like, okay, yeah, sure. Like, nobody should want waste, fraud, and abuse, but the more intelligent question, if you're an adult, is you say, okay, well, how much waste, fraud, or abuse is acceptable, and what levels are we at right now, right? Because no system is going to have zero waste, zero fraud, zero abuse. Well, you could get it to that level, but chances are it's going to be cost prohibitive to do so, right? Everything is going to be open to some level of fraud, some level of abuse, some level of waste. But like, you only have so much time. Like, if you're a programmer, the equivalent term to we want to get rid of all waste, fraud, and abuse would be like every 6 months you have a CEO come in and say we need to refactor the entire stack and update everything so it's brand new. We're going to refactor everything. We're going to refactor everything because there's some inefficient code here. So we're going to refactor the whole thing every 6 months. Like, that's the equivalent. It's just like a nonsense. Like, I mean, like, would it run more efficiently? I guess. But like, do you have infinite employees to throw out a thing over and over and over? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's just stupid.
It hurts anybody, but in a way that makes government work more efficiently and effectively for the people. That's what our legislation has done. That's what the Big Beautiful Bill was about, and we'd love to continue that theme. And if Chuck Schumer wants to keep the government shut down, give the White House full authority to do that, some good things may come out of that, indeed.
As a constitutional lawyer, do you think you would be okay if a government shutdown happened under President Biden and he canceled programs unilaterally because of it?
We didn't allow that to happen because I'm more responsible than that.
No, it was because Democrats were working with you guys, because Biden was the great unifier.
Republicans were in the minority. We delivered the votes to keep the government open because we don't want to hurt the American people. Chuck Schumer has made the decision unilaterally.
Destiny, genuine question. In terms of economic policy, how are Americans accepting the current tariff policy? As a Canuck, we were taught, at least in my province, that tariffs being lifted throughout the end of colony-based mercantilism and at the end of American protections are objectively good. Do Americans think similarly and disagree with Trump, or do they agree with him? The issue is that Americans live really good lives, and they have lived really good lives for the past decade or more, but they only feel bad when people tell them to feel bad. So if the badness that you're feeling is a product more of the media that you consume and less a product of your actual material reality, then if somebody comes in and does something to hurt your material reality, but he makes you feel better about it, you're more likely to accept it because at the end of the day, you might not actually be hurting as much as you thought you were. It's a mean thing to say, and it undermines the average voter's competency, but I truly think that that's a big thing at play for the average American consumer.
He's the leader of the Democrats in the Senate. To keep the government shut down for his own personal reasons. It is extremely selfish and stunning to me that he is willing to do that. There's no way out of the trap. We didn't put partisan provisions in the CR. We could have. I could have loaded that up with all of our partisan policy preferences, but I didn't because we're operating in good faith. The reason we need, again, just the short-term extension to November 21st is to allow the appropriators to do their job. They need more time to do it in a bipartisan fashion, by the way. They agreed, Republicans and Democrats agreed, November 21st would be the appropriate date to extend it. That's all we're asking for is time.
And some Democrats have argued, this is our moment to use our leverage, so we should use it. It reminded me of something that now Vice President J.D. Vance said.
What does the data say? How much waste and fraud is there? My understanding is for government stuff, the waste and fraud is genuinely pretty low. I've said this before, and I'll repeat this indefinitely. Every liberal, every sane liberal was probably a little bit worried when Doge came in, right? I was a little worried. It's like, okay, it would suck if they came in and they found a fuck ton of like wasteful, fraudulent spending. But I feel like if Doge came in, assuming Elon has any level of competency whatsoever, I feel like that Doge audit showed the government in an incredibly positive light. You're telling me that you had access to basically every single fucking file and you were auditing with big balls and all the other retarded shit as much as you could, and the best thing you could ever do was just reprint old OIG reports, Office of Inspector General reports. That's all you could do. Sounds like the government's running pretty well. I feel like Doge proved that. The only significant savings that they had was shutting down departments, which is not waste, fraud, and abuse. It was shutting things down they didn't like. At the end of the day, they found basically nothing.
When he was a senator here on Capitol Hill.
Why shouldn't we be trying to force this government shutdown fight to get something out of it that's good for the American people?
Are they just using their leverage like a position that he once held?
Well, unfortunately for Chuck Schumer, he doesn't have willing partners on the other side. There's no game to play here. The White House, the president, the vice president, we were all in the Oval Office together yesterday. Leader Thune, I, the Republican leadership in the Senate and the House and the White House are completely unified on this. There's no daylight between us. We want to keep the government open to serve the people. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have decided to close it. We'll see how long this standoff continues, but it's real people that get harmed in the process.
Leader Thune said earlier today that he's not going to negotiate until the government is back open. Is that your position as well with Hakeem Jeffries?
Yeah, look, there's plenty of time to debate these policy issues.
Like, did Trump ever have a meeting with Schumer and Jeffries? I think he did one time, right? after he ignored the first one, that's when he had like the Trump hat on the table or whatever. It's a fucking joke, dude. The Trump 2028 hat on the table.
Extraneous matters, but you have to have the government open first. It's the first most important responsibility of Congress to keep the government operating for the people, and the Democrats have decided not to do that.
But so is that your position, that unless the government is open, that you're not going to go negotiate with them either?
Yes, there's nothing to negotiate. There literally is nothing I can pull out of the CR to make it better. It is a nonpartisan CR that they've already voted for. Chuck Schumer already voted for this exact measure in March and said at the time it was the right thing to do. The only thing that changed between now and then is that he's in more political jeopardy.
Well, they've also argued because of the passage of the one big beautiful bill. But can I ask
Nonsense.
you?
Look at the facts.
That's the Democrats' argument. Can I ask you? Earlier today, a Democrat came up to you, Congresswoman Madeline Dean from Pennsylvania, and basically she described it as confronting you over a post by the president last night of Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer after y'all's meeting at the White House.
Oh, that was just a jokey joke. Oh, that was just a jokey joke. Oh, that was a jokey joke. Oh, it was a little memer.
She was asking you if you believed it was racist and said that you should call it out. What is your description of what happened in that interaction?
So, as I always do, I'm the Speaker of the House, so I represent Republicans and Democrats in that capacity, and I always hear complaints and concerns from members, and I always stop and hear that. And I did that for Madeline Dean. I respect her as an individual. We disagree on every policy matter, and she was concerned about a social media post of the president who he meant as a joke, and we talked about that. I told her I disagreed with her perspective on it, but I tried to bring her back to the real issue. The fight tonight is not about social media posts. The fight is about whether they're going to keep the government open for the American people, and she's one that voted against that in the House. Quite literally 2 weeks ago, when we pushed this measure through the House, the CR, the clean CR, she voted no. Every Democrat in the House except one voted no. They voted to close the government, and I wanted my friend Madeline to understand the importance of that. She herself had said many times in the past that closing the government would be dangerous for the people, and suddenly they've changed their tune, and I don't understand why.
One argument, she was arguing that it was a racist post. One argument that we've also seen from Democrats is that House Republicans should be here because House Democrats are here. Hakeem Jeffries has described it as they've been sent on vacation. Do you have any plans to bring them back anytime soon?
Of course, everybody will be back next week. We have the Jewish high holiday of Yom Kippur on Wednesday and Thursday. We were never intended or scheduled to be in session on those days. There's always honored holidays every year, so Friday would really be the only day to do any legislative business. But if the government shut down, there's not a big point. There's not a lot of floor activity that can be had until we open the government again. So the House has done its job. Everybody's home working in their district.
Wait, do they take Yom Kippur off? The fuck?
Right now. They'll be back next week, of course.
Israel.
And we'll see what happens. I'm very hopeful that over the next few days, the Democrats in the Senate will come to their senses. Leader Thune is going to put the bill on the floor repeatedly and give them more and more chances. You saw tonight, a couple of more Democrats peeled off. They don't want to be part of this. They don't want to be blamed for the government shutdown. And I hope more of them come to their senses. I certainly hope and pray that happens by early next week. And
Well, I just feel like nobody ever acknowledges the insanely bad effects COVID had in our economy. I see people constantly complaining about the cost of shit of the past few years. It seems like COVID in the U.S. Narrowly avoided a recession is just memory hold. No. Oh, you're so wrong, my dude. People acknowledge COVID. Of course they do. What do you think the Republicans' excuse is for Trump's last year being so fucking horrible in office? That's when COVID happened and ended right when he left office, though. And then as soon as Biden comes in, then it gets memory hold. So you're half correct. They only memory hole half of COVID, but the first part that happened under Trump's term, well, that's why everything, went to shit under Trump. But no, for Biden, I think I even had a debate. I think I brought that up twice before. Yeah, because it's so unbelievable to me when people are like, oh, all this inflation. It's like, why do you think the inflation happened? Like, are you forgetting something? And then they say, like, government spending is like, why did the government spend? What was going on? But they'll never actually... Yeah.
Can all get back to the people's business here. That's the plan.
House Speaker Mike Johnson, in your words, we will see what happens if we're here next week.
One thing that Katie Collins does that I really appreciate, every single person on the left needs to do this, is she'll reiterate her point before quickly moving on to the next thing when he tells a fucking lie.
Voted no. They voted to close the government.
Hold on.
And I wanted my friend
did it
to
like,
understand the importance
Caitlin,
of that.
not
She
Katie? Sorry.
herself had said many times in the past that closing the government would be dangerous for the people. And suddenly they've changed their tune, and I don't understand why.
One argument, she was arguing that it was a racist post. One argument that we've also...
She summarizes what the question was about. She was arguing it was a racist post. And then she goes on the next thing. She's done this like 5 or 6 times in this conversation. She's really good at that. I really appreciate that.
elected and Trump in office is it kind of threw a because they didn't want him to be the president, and it threw a monkey wrench into all these things that they were doing. And you get to see a lot of these people scramble, and you get to see like, oh, this is there's so much like all.
Do you think if the government stays shut down for an extended period of time, public opinion will start pointing blame at Democrats? I don't know. All I want to see more Democrats standing strongly, and I want them to have a position. And if people hate the Democrats, I'm okay with people hating Democrats because of things that Democrats say or do. I'm not okay with people hating Democrats because of what the Republicans say Democrats say or do. In my opinion, the reason why the Democrat approval is so low right now is because the average person thinks that a Democrat is what Republicans tell you that a Democrat is. I don't think that that's acceptable.
The Doge stuff where they uncovered all these NGOs.
This NGO is like the fucking, it's such a spooky boogeyman. It's like the deep state for retards. NGOs.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
There's an NGO for, I think it's every 600 people in India.
Yeah.
What is that metric? What? Did you know that there's 50 NGOs for every single Steam patch? The fuck? Did you know that? It's so fucking random. What? Did you know that there are only 150 NGOs per NFL sports team? Did you know that there are 500 different varieties of insects in the Amazon for every NGO that exists in the United States? What?
You know how crazy that is? There's a non-government organization for every, I think it's like 500 or 600 people in India. There's like millions of them. It doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. It's like,
why does it not make sense? What is an NGO to you? What do you think an NGO does? What doesn't make sense about that? What would you like to see changed about it? What do you even mean when you say that?
What are you doing? What are you doing? Elon explained it to me too. He said what you would do is you would make this non-profit and you would call this you'd put a bunch of money into it. So you put like $10 million, relatively small to them, $10 million to this thing and call it like Agency for Peace, Center for Peace, whatever it is. And then that becomes a non-government organization. And then you get politicians to dump tons of money into this NGO. And then through this NGO, you profit.
It's like a show.
How? Can you walk me through the tax structure of that? How do you profit? What? So you have a non-government entity. It can't be any 501c nonprofit, I guess. So it has to be some kind of profitable organization, which I don't even, if it's just organized as like a normal, like a non-tax sheltered LLC or corporation, I don't even know if you'd call it an NGO. Are NGOs typically thought of as only like the 501cs? Would you ever call like a normal corporation like an NGO? Nonprofit and for-profit entities. Oh, okay, it can include for-profit entities. Saving or even all funding from government sources. NGO typically is thought to be a nonprofit. Typically is thought to be a nonprofit that operates partially independent of government control. Nonprofit majors are focused on humanitarian or social issues, but how are you getting rich through an NGO because other people are donating to it? Like, walk us through the tax structure there.
Into this NGO, and then through this NGO, you profit.
It's like a shell company.
Yeah. And there's a ton of those. And there's so many of them, they couldn't even keep track of them. And the more they dug into it, the more they started calling Elon a Nazi. And it just got wild.
Well, they don't like when the elites don't like when the curtain's pulled back.
Well, that was the curtain being pulled back. That was the curtain being pulled back in a way that most people were not aware. And when I brought Mike Benz in, and Mike Benz laid it all out, and he was explaining that what U.S. aid was for was the things that were too dirty for the CIA to get involved in. So
okay.
A lot of it was like regime change operations. It was like outlining all these different regime change operations that were all being paid for, and then your tax dollars being dumped into these NGOs, and then people are pulling money out of it, and like billions of dollars.
It's the world's piggy bank. Why did they stop digging? Are they still digging? Like
well,
those?
I don't know.
Because I know Elon's not in the White House anymore, but
it was supposed to be a temporary thing, right?
But it just seems like it all just stopped.
We don't hear about it anymore. That's true. But I think it was real problematic. I mean, they did shut down U.S. aid, and they turned Elon into a fucking Nazi. I mean, how many fucking Teslas got keyed and tires got slashed, and his business was really troubled by it. And so he's like, I'm done. I'm stepping away. You guys, you didn't follow my instructions. You didn't follow my recommendations. So what can I do? You're ruining my life. So I'm just going to back out of this.
Go back to building rockets.
So he's just going back to building rockets.
Well,
and the thing's like, they didn't even care that he rescued those people from the fucking space station, which was wild. Like, no one wanted to give him credit. No one wanted to say thank you. They're like, no, he's a Nazi. Yeah. People I know were calling him a Nazi because he spazzed out and went, my heart goes out to you.
Oh, yeah, we make fun of that all the time.
Crazy.
Yeah, someone just took a still image, you know?
The guy literally has
a still image? Why does everything have to be a lie? It's a video. The still image doesn't even look as bad as the video of him doing it twice. A still image? No one here corrects a still image?
Calling him a Nazi because he spazzed out and went, my heart goes out to you.
Oh, yeah, we make fun of that all the time.
Crazy.
Yeah, someone just took a still image, you know?
The guy literally has a chain around his neck that was given to him by one of the mothers of one of the hostages in Israel that says, bring them all home.
Wow.
He wears it around his neck. That's what a Nazi does? Like, are you fucking kidding me? You think he's a Nazi? There's no evidence that he's a Nazi other than one hand movement.
Yeah.
That's it? This is what...
It was two hand movements, and it's the massive amount of neo-Nazi shit that gets posted on X now, and the massive amount of amplifying that it does to some weird neo-Nazi-ish accounts. To be clear, I don't even think Elon is a fucking neo-Nazi. I think he's just fucking retarded.
The reason we're here, and I don't think you would argue that this is unnecessary, the assassination and
you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's the answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
She needs to replace every single one, but you know who she really needs to replace? What's the name of the one? I don't know if she's Indian. Who's the one lady on NBC? Do you know who I'm thinking of? I hate her. She's the worst interviewer ever. What's her name? Oh, wait, is it this one? This one. Oh my God. And on NBC, she gives the softest softball interviews I've ever seen in my entire life to every single conservative that goes on anything she does related to interviewing. Oh my God, it's so fucking horrible. Oh my God. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
So you mentioned
Also, I like how this guy has had time to do like 500 fucking interviews. Oh my God.
So you mentioned $1.5 trillion. $1 trillion of that is to reverse Medicaid cuts that you put in the big beautiful bill.
Medicaid reforms, not cuts.
Well,
now don't take my word for it.
It's less spending.
Don't
you
take
can call
my word
it what you
for
want.
it. The CBO, Congressional Budget Office, which everybody cites and CNN does all the time as the neutral arbiter of all these things, they came out with a report on August 25th, just several weeks back, and they said, you know what happened in that big beautiful bill? This is what we project. It's going to save Medicaid. It's going to strengthen Medicaid. Why? Because they CBO, not Republicans. CBO said 2.3 million improper enrollments are involved in Medicaid right now. What is that? Illegal aliens, young able-bodied men without dependents who are riding the wagon and should be working instead. Our legislation strengthens Medicaid because we kick those people off. They were not entitled. Medicaid is intended for U.S. citizens who are young, pregnant women, disabled, or elderly, not these other categories.
But once this goes into effect, which is after the midterms, people will feel cuts who are not necessarily...
Yeah, those young able-bodied men who are sitting home playing video games? No, that's a big portion
Not
of it.
just them.
Look at the studies. Is that?
But
what are the studies that show that? I just don't see those people consuming very much health care. Like young men, 20 to 30, able-bodied young men. How much health care? How many times are these guys going to the hospital? I don't believe it. I just don't believe it.
Nine in 10.
Bro, this is a 3-hour and 20-minute thing. I would have to be on Factorio again to watch that whole thing. CBO analysis shows Medicaid cuts would terminate coverage for millions, including people with Medicare. The policy options CBO evaluated have all been floated as avenues to cut Medicaid funding. Option 1 would reduce the federal government's share of responsibility for the Medicaid expansion population, 5.5 million people being kicked out of Medicaid and 2.4 million people going uninsured. Option 2 would limit provider taxes. Option 3, 4, 5. This is May. This is like 5 months ago. I don't know which one they ended up going with or what. Italy's Gorgonzola cheese is the oldest blue cheese in the world, dating back to 890 or 879. Like this particular cheese is 1,200 years old, or? This is the origin of the able-bodied people playing video games instead of looking for work. How non-disabled Medicaid recipients without children spend their time. The reconciliation bill passed by the U.S. House of Representatives imposes community engagement requirements for childless, non-disabled Medicaid recipients aged 19 to 64. The requirement can be met by spending 80 hours in at least some months either working, going to school, participating in a work program, or doing community service. And previous analysis found that between 40 and 56% of childless, non-disabled Medicaid recipients aged 19 to 64 would not have been in compliance. What is this study? 50 to, or 40, okay, so about half of childless, non-disabled Medicaid recipients weren't working? 40 to 50 of childless, non-disabled Medicaid recipients. When you start adding all those qualifiers, I always say you got to be real careful because usually somebody's doing something sneaky there, but I'm curious what. Only 44% of non-disabled working age Medicaid recipients without children worked in the same month that they were receiving Medicaid. Thus, the majority of recipients subject to a monthly work requirement would need to work additional hours or else face... Wait. Only 44% of non-disabled working age Medicaid recipients without children worked in the same month they were receiving Medicaid. Does that... I must be missing something. Doesn't that make sense? Like if you were working and earning money, then you would probably have a higher chance of not qualifying for Medicaid, no? Less than half of Medicaid recipients work enough to comply with a work requirement. That's a much broader title than childless... Wait, what was the... Non-disabled, working age, childless. Share of non-disabled adults without children. Share of non-disabled adults without children who worked at least 80 hours in December 2022 by age and Medicaid receipt. Okay. Medicaid recipients and non-Medicaid recipients. Wait, what does a non-Medicaid recipient mean? Does that mean you're not getting Medicaid? Or does that mean you're getting something else? It just means you're not a Medicaid recipient. Okay. Author's calculations based on 2023 survey of income and program participation. Notes, individuals are counted as non-disabled if they do not receive supplemental security income or any other disability income in December 2022. Parents living with their own children under the age of 18 are excluded. Parents living with their own children under the age of 18 are excluded. Figure 2 reports parents living... Wait, why would you exclude those? Non-Medicaid recipients. Medicaid recipients who weren't working. I don't know why you would exclude those. Wait, okay, hold on. Wait. Was this a study or was this just him putting together one chart? He said his analysis. Figure 2 reports the number of Medicaid recipients by age group. As of December 2022, there were 19.6 million Medicaid recipients between the ages of 18 and 64 who were not disabled and did not have children, and 8.8 million between the ages of 25 and 54. Together, figure 1 and 2 shares Medicaid work requirements would target a large number of recipients, many of whom do not currently work a sufficient number of hours to comply. Thus, work requirements could have important effects on Medicaid expenditures, coverage, and employment. Millions of non-disabled adults without children in December 2022 by age of Medicaid. Millions. Non-disabled adults without children. I don't understand this. This seems retarded to me. I would imagine that applying for Medicaid would probably increase if you lose your job or something. That would be my assumption. And then doing this on just like a monthly analysis, like there are so many other ways that you could crunch numbers here to look for something more interesting than this. Like this is this is an example of a guy who went to enough high school to learn how to put together like a shitty graph, but then was too retarded to make it any further because he couldn't ask good questions about his data, right? Like there are so many other ways you could crunch numbers here. Like of the Medicaid recipients that are childless, not disabled, and not working, like what do they look like? What does that average worker look like over time? Because like, for instance, let's say that you crunched the data and you found out that they spent like on average like 1 year not working. Okay, maybe you have something there. But what if like the average time not working was like 2 months? Okay, well then it seems like these are people that are just like hopping onto Medicaid after they've lost a job, and then they use it in between. There's some friction here of but we don't know. This is fucking retarded. Why am I looking at this? What is this dog shit website? AEI, American Enterprise Institute. Is this some? I feel like I've looked at retarded shit from this site before. I don't know. Okay. This was in 2022 when inflation and unemployment were going crazy. Oh shit, true. Was that 2022? Daily hours spent in various activities by Medicaid receipt and work status, non-disabled adults aged 19 to 64 without children and not in school. Medicaid recipients and non-Medicaid recipients. TV and video games, 4.2 hours per day. Oh no. Oh no. Housework and errands, 4 hours. I mean, it seems to be a little bit less than non-Medicaid recipient non-workers versus Medicaid recipient non-workers. I don't know. Okay.
Kitties cannot agree on what.
Oh God, I've seen reels like this before.
Republican and Democrat kitties cannot agree on what should be funded. Democrat kitties want you to have health care. Republican kitties do not. Republican kitties control the Senate, House, and the White House, so they're using that to cut your health care and give money to billionaires. Democrat kitty tries to negotiate, but Republican kitty keeps running away. He has a vacation to get to. Uh-oh. Suddenly the money you pay for your health insurance has tripled. Thanks, Republicans. Republican and Democrat...
Based.
Despite the fact that Chuck Schumer has shut down...
Loser alert. Open Facebook and Reels autoplayed. First reel at 57,000 likes and 12,000 comments. Comments were overwhelmingly impressed. Old people praising a dog. This is the real. I'm not joking. Facebook is dead. Save him, doggo! Oh my God. Good job. Did you have this toy as a kid?
Ready to jet to fun with Secret Island! Fly in your own private plane, then unlock the hidden massage room. Whoa, secret room! Kick back with two chill old dudes and discover the treasure. Secret Island. Fly in on the private plane, pop open the door, and the old guys arrive in style.
There's treasure in here!
Hit the rock!
Bam!
Secret room packed with loot. Twist the volcano and...
Hit the panic button! Here goes!
Air for... We were kind of the cheerleader to get Jimmy Kimmel canned and taken off air for his despicable comments about Charlie Kirk after Kirk's murder. And the reason why we led that charge was because Jimmy Kimmel is a filthy liar. Not only did he lie about who killed Charlie Kirk, saying that it was a MAGA movement that did it, but...
It's not what he said. That's a lie.
He also lied when he came back to TV by weeping and crying and blubbering on his knees. He literally sobbed the entire 20-minute monologue. Now...
He didn't. I think he was during one precise moment where he talked about watching Charlie Kirk die or something, but okay.
Beyond just this being a bad look for you as a man, this is a bad look when you take the totality of what Jimmy Kimmel has said and done on this topic. When Charlie Kirk was first shot, killed, his wife widowed, and his children orphaned without their father, Jimmy Kimmel didn't cry. Jimmy Kimmel had no tears for that. Jimmy Kimmel used it as an opportunity to attack Charlie and his movement. Wouldn't that be the scenario to cry about? Wouldn't you be crying then? Why are you now just crying? Because Jimmy Kimmel's career is at stake, and Jimmy Kimmel's crying for himself. That's what's happening. These tears are not for Charlie Kirk or Erica Kirk or the Kirk family. They're for him. And well, Jimmy Kimmel's career, which was already on the rocks, remains so. And Jimmy Kimmel's ratings have plummeted 70% since returning. Jimmy Kimmel has a absolute and total collapsed show once again. He did have a lot of people tuning in order to see what he's going to say. Obviously, he made quite a stir when Jimmy Kimmel was taken off air. And now, ladies and gentlemen, he's back. But once the little pop fizz of drama fizzled away, then so did the audience. Jimmy Kimmel won for now. ABC reinstated the late night hosts early.
Why the fuck are we watching this? Because Benny Johnson is a legitimately large content creator who is definitely very real in terms of the audience size and definitely doesn't bot all of his socials and is definitely a massively enjoyed talk show guy in the United States of America. Absolutely, for sure.
After a suspension, and affiliates started putting the show back on the air. Station owners are saying that they wanted leverage over ABC and so on and so forth, but then they could cancel each other. It could be really ugly. So anyway, they're just going to put Jimmy Kimmel back on air. Nobody really watched anyway. This is, however, really a moot point because Jimmy Kimmel's ratings have once again fallen directly into the trash can. Still, Kimmel's long-term future with ABC remains in question. For those wondering if Kimmel could retain his newfound momentum, his ratings suggest no. While Wednesday's average of 2.4 million was ahead of Kimmel's norm of like 1 million, it marked a 70% drop from the record 6 million that showed up to watch his groveling non-apology. CNN media analyst Brian Stelter badly wants Jimmy Kimmel to notice him, touting Kimmel's YouTube numbers this morning, not his television audience. Kimmel's show will almost certainly drop back below 2 million next week. We'll be watching. And that means it's performing well below the mean. Jimmy Kimmel's making around $17 million a year, has a large staff. The show's production in LA is costing a fortune. CBS was losing $40 million a year on Stephen Colbert's show, and it did better.
Okay. Have you seen Ezra Klein's latest podcast episode? Nope. DMZ had a big tweet. Oh, yeah, I saw this. Wasn't this guy violent towards his pregnant wife? 240,000 likers.
Rune, turn off the router. Turn off the router, Rune. They are not messing around. Rune, do it now. Turn it off. Turn it off. They are right behind me. Rune, shut it down. Turn off the router. They're not messing around. Rune, turn.
Am I retarded? I don't get it. How did Crowder get away with the lying about the trans thing? Which lie? What do you mean? It's the OpenAI CEO dude. Who's Rune? The ATF leaker, he claimed. An employee. Okay. He's the first reply on that Twitter post. Okay, thank you. That makes so much more sense now. I understand everything. Thank you. Destiny related.
Skibida, I'm a CEO in a porcelain spa. Skibidoo, skibida. Yes, that's me. Running AI from the back. Can't stop. Head above water. Flush that tune. Everybody bouncing. Sam in the room.
This video is brought to you by Incogni. All right, so this is part 2 of my immigration video. I did.
The president also said at the Pentagon yesterday that he wants American cities to be used as training grounds for the American military. Is this the highest and best use of the U.S. military, and is this the right way to train them?
I don't serve in the Pentagon. I run the House of Representatives. And what we need to be talking about today is real harm that the American people are going to feel because of what Chuck Schumer is doing. Let me tell you what's going to be.
Well, hold on a second. As Speaker of the House, do you answer the question? As Speaker of the House, do you believe it's appropriate to use American cities as training grounds for the U.S. military, calling those people in the American cities the enemy within? I'm asking you, as Speaker of the House, do you think that's appropriate?
I'm not going to comment on your characterization of what the president said. I didn't get to see that speech because I was a little busy yesterday. Well, you can take his quotes out of context, which you often do, and I don't think.
now the quotes aren't good enough. Now you can't have quotes. Okay.
That's fair to the president.
Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly. Ones that are run by the radical left Democrats, what they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places. And we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war, too. It's a war from within. But I want to salute every service member who has helped us carry out this critical mission. It's really a very important mission. And I told Pete, we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military. Because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor.
Okay, I feel like the memery is a little bit heavy on this, but... Okay. Pokemon shows off her new boyfriend on TikTok. Are these all AI things? Because some AI updated. Now everybody's going to publish their epic AI
Okay, thank you
edits.
very much. It's a great honor to...
Yep, let's head out.
Can't wear that.
What? Why not?
A shirt that says "I hate women."
It doesn't say that. What are you talking about?
Yes, it does. It says, well, I hate when women are unfairly marginalized.
Hashtag feminist.
But the font is so much smaller.
I couldn't forget the font tool on the website for the t-shirts. You guys ready to go? Yep, we're heading out.
You cannot wear that to the airport.
What, shorts? I mean, it's gonna be hot out. I know it's not.
A shirt that says "I have a bomb"?
Oh, no, it says I have a bomb-ass friend named Sven, and he bought me this shirt.
Yeah, but that's gonna be a huge problem, and like security, they're gonna be like,
dude, look, Sven's face.
They know
is
how
on
to
it.
read. All right, Ben, let's go.
Come on, Ryan.
Uber's here?
Yep, heading out.
Go. There's not even small font on that shirt. That's a bad one.
What?
Sven, you're banned from making shirts.
Whoa. Sven's been making shirts? I want one.
Okay, but maybe he's better.
It says I heart 9/11. What are you talking about?
It says 9/11. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. 9/11 is my birthday. I like.
We're going to the airport.
Okay. The DOJ website has been updated to say Democrats shut down the government, HUD 2. Just little things that remind you, we're now ruled by savages who don't even at least have the pretense that the government service is a real thing. Seems small, but it's telling. True. Uh-oh, another revision? Why are all the revisers Trump haters, guys? The number of jobs created in August has been revised from 54,000 down to negative 3,000. What the fuck? Careful, this is ADP private sector only data, not official BLS data, which also includes government. If you include the government, wouldn't it get even worse? Or is he saying that this one includes government, but the official BLS data won't include government? To be fair, ADP is a notoriously memey predictor of the full data. Okay.
Secretary of War can do regular, hard PT. So can every member of our joint force. It's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are.
I'm not gonna lie, I know a lot of people were quoting this part of the speech and saying it was evil and all that shit. I sort of kind of a little bit agree. I don't know if it's realistic at a certain level, but just as somebody who used to be an employee, I had a trillion times more respect for managers or bosses that could do my job really well. But maybe that's just not possible at every level of government or I don't know, is it that hard to not be a fucking fat blimp? I don't know. Maybe. Destiny, they don't go into combat? Yeah, but still, I mean, they're 60-year-old generals. Like fat, I know that, guys, please stop. Your American is showing. Don't embarrass me in front of my European audience, okay? You know that like fatness is not an inevitability, right? Like it's not like, oh, he's fat. No, it's okay. He's 60. Oh, because you like trend towards fatness. Okay? It's not an inevitability, guys.
Back on the roof. That's why 98% of Wiggers are white. What's up, big guy?
Faggot on the roof, we have a faggot on the roof.
You mean a sniper?
Where do snipers sit? On roofs. Faggot on the roof, kill the fucking faggot.
Jesus. What am I watching?
My nigga, we got a problem.
Don't worry about it, Pookie. 2 Wigger missiles are en route.
And that's why 98%.
Okay. When Republicans say the Dems want healthcare for undocumented immigrants, are they talking about hospital visits or emergencies? If so, isn't that inherently what is healthcare to them? It's not. It's not. None of this is based in reality. It's just a total meme. Like they've gotten to the point to where they've gotten to the point to where they are just like completely detached from any type of real claim. They just don't have to be. I don't know how else to say that. Like they can just basically say whatever the fuck. At Destiny, Pete coming out as a National Guard fuckface to come tell all these people they are too fat and unfit to lead these people. It's fucking stupid. I mean, like, if Pete was like a fucking alcoholic, and if he did have all these issues in the past, I mean, he's reasonably in shape. I don't think he can do 100 push-ups or 100 fucking pull-ups, despite the lies that he told with RFK or whatever. But I think he's like reasonably, he seems like a reasonably in shape person, given his age and everything. Now, I don't know if any of these guys were chubbers or if he necessarily was meaning these guys, but wasn't the criticism just to point out the hypocrisy of Trump being unfit? Sure.